The galaxy was broken. Once there had been peace, long ago. But now every star system burned. Planets cried under fire. Armies fought without rest. No one knew why the war started. No one even remembered the first shot. But now, all species were killing to survive. The Varkans ruled the skies. Their metal ships covered the stars like a dark cloud. The Brillacs crushed cities with their giant machines. The Zern wiped out oceans with plasma storms. Everyone wanted to win. No one was ready to stop. War had become normal. Children were born inside bunkers. Some never saw sunlight. Others learned to fire weapons before they learned to speak. Commanders gave orders like machines. Burn the city. Kill everything that breathes. No mercy. And still the war went on. But deep in the shadows of this madness, something changed. A small, strange signal appeared. It was weak, broken, almost nothing. But it was there, repeating one name: humans. At first, no one cared. They're just new. Weak, from a forgotten planet. Not a real species. The warlords laughed. They are too late to join this war. But the old ones, the ones who had seen many wars, they fell silent. A few whispered old tales. Humans, one old Brillax general said, shaking. I thought they destroyed themselves centuries ago. No, another replied. They'd survived, and they've been watching. The younger soldiers didn't believe it. How could a species from one blue planet matter? Then came the reports. One by one. Strange attacks near the outer zones. Entire fleets lost. No survivors. No black box data. Just empty space. And one word on every destroyed ship's final log: Earth. Still, the leaders didn't believe. It's just rebels. A virus. Not real humans. But the silence kept spreading. Planets stopped answering. Alliances fell apart. Signals disappeared. In the middle of this growing fear, a new event shocked the galaxy. On the planet Jurnatel, two of the biggest alien forces, the Varkans and the Zern, were fighting over a fuel source. The sky was full of fire. Lasers lit up the night. Ground troops screamed through the smoke. And then, everything went quiet. No explosions, no weapons. The satellites above recorded a strange shadow, long and black, moving across the sky. No one knew what it was. When rescue teams came, they found nothing. No soldiers, no machines, no bodies, just ashes. In the center of the battlefield, there was a single thing left: a metal rod stuck in the ground. Painted on it was a flag. A blue planet with white clouds. Earth. Panic began to spread. Meetings were held between alien rulers. Fear filled every room. Who are they? What do they want? Why didn't they talk first? But no answers came. Some thought humans came for peace. Others believed they came for revenge. And a few, the smart ones, said nothing at all. They just started preparing their escape. In the deep corners of space, in small ships and quiet stations, survivors began to whisper. Humans are not here to join the war. They're here to end it. The war, once full of noise, began to slow. Not because people wanted peace, but because they were afraid of something worse. By the end of the week, every species had heard the new name spreading through the stars. They said it in fear. They said it in awe. They said it in warning. Earth has entered the war. And the chaos, the endless burning chaos, began to change. Because now, terror had a new face, and it was human. It happened on the planet Dranix IV, a dusty red world full of fire and smoke. The Varkans had set up their main base there. Their war machines stood tall like metal mountains. They believed no one could touch them. Thousands of soldiers marched. Fighters flew in perfect lines. Cannons stood ready to burn the sky. But no one expected what was coming. Not today. Not from Earth. High above the planet, Warning lights began to flash. Unidentified ships entering orbit. The officers laughed. "Let them come," said Commander Thorvax. "They will burn like the rest." He had no idea what he was about to face. From the black of space, 5 human ships arrived. They were small, old, rust-covered. They didn't glow. They didn't shine. They looked weak. The Varkans prepared to fire. Their targeting systems locked on. But before they could shoot, the first human ship moved. Fast, too fast. It zipped through their sensors, invisible to tracking. In one breath, it fired a single blue beam. And one Varkan battleship, 10 times larger, exploded into silent dust. The soldiers on Dranik's IV froze. They had seen thousands of battles, but nothing like this. The human ships didn't stop. They moved like shadows, silent, quick, deadly. Each blast was perfect. Each target vanished before it could react. Within minutes, the Varkan fleet was gone. On the ground, the soldiers panicked. They fired into the sky. They screamed orders. They begged for help. But there was no help coming. Then the human drop pods fell from the sky. Sleek, black, cold. They didn't land with noise. They didn't explode. They simply arrived. And from inside them came the humans. They wore black armor, smooth like stone, marked with no rank or flag. Their helmets had no eyes, no mouths. They looked like walking shadows, and they did not speak. One Varkan soldier raised his rifle. The human twisted, and in less than a second, the alien's weapon melted in his hands. His body followed. Panic turned into terror. The humans moved through the base without stopping. No shouting. No emotion. Every shot they fired hit the heart. Every enemy they saw fell before they blinked. The Varkans tried to run. But the humans were already ahead of them. By sunset, the base was gone. Every building leveled. Every machine broken. Every Varkan missing. Not dead. Just gone. An alien scout team arrived hours later. They landed carefully, scanning the area. Their sensors showed nothing living. No energy signals. No radiation. Nothing. Only one object remained in the center of the battlefield. It was a piece of cloth waving in the wind. The human flag. Blue planet. White clouds. And under it, scratched into the ground with a blade. "Do not follow us." The galaxy heard the news within hours. First contact with humans, and an army had vanished. The panic grew faster than fire. Species that once ruled entire sectors began pulling back. They erased attack plans. They called off invasions. They told their soldiers to hide, because now no one wanted to be the next to meet the humans. Alien commanders studied the battle reports in silence. How can ships that small destroy fleets? Why didn't they take prisoners? Why did they leave the flag? No one knew. But one thing was clear. This was not just war. It was punishment. Back in a secret control room on Earth, a human general watched the footage. He said nothing. Another officer asked, "Should we send a message? Should we speak to them?" The general shook his head slowly. "They made chaos," he said. "Now they'll see what comes after chaos." And across the stars, the name human turned from a joke into a nightmare. Across the galaxy, the battlefields grew cold. Where once there was fire and screaming, now there was only silence. The great armies of the Varkans, the Zern, and the Brelax no longer marched proudly. Their warships no longer filled the skies. Because wherever they went, the humans had already been. It started with small outposts. First, a Brelax mining colony on Delta 6 stopped answering calls. When search teams arrived, they found the colony destroyed. No bodies, no weapons, only broken metal and empty ground. The only sign left was a mark burned into a wall. A handprint. human-sized. Then 3 Zern warships disappeared in deep space. They sent no distress signals. No black box records were found. Only drifting wreckage and pieces of cloth floating in the void, pieces of the Earth flag. Panic grew faster. Some leaders tried to fight back. The Zern High Commander ordered an attack on what they believed was a human base hidden on the moon Ketra 9. He sent 20,000 soldiers. None returned. The last transmission was a whisper full of fear. They are already inside. There. And then, nothing. The Zern government fell into chaos. People rioted. Generals fled. Entire cities were left empty. All because of fear. In every meeting room of every alien government, the same questions were asked. Why don't the humans speak? Why don't they make demands? Why don't they stop? But no one had answers. Because the humans did not want peace. They didn't want territory. They didn't even want prisoners. They wanted something else. Something far worse. They wanted the war to end by erasing the ones who made it. On the burned-out world of Krylos Prime, a young alien soldier named Varek stood alone. He had survived the first human attack by hiding under the rubble. Now he wandered through the ruins of his own city. Ashes covered the streets. The sky was dark, heavy with smoke. Everywhere he looked, he saw no bodies, no blood, only the quiet remains of a once proud army. And then he saw it. At the center of the broken city square, someone had built a monument. It wasn't large. Just a pile of broken weapons, alien rifles, swords, plasma cannons, all melted into a single twisted sculpture. And carved into the stone beneath it, one simple line. This is what war brings. Earth. Varek felt a chill run through his bones. He had grown up hearing stories of fearless soldiers, unbeatable machines, endless victories. But now, standing in the ruins, he knew the truth. There were things even stronger than war. Fear. Silence. And the humans. In the black corners of space, the news traveled like wildfire. Many alien species began to surrender before even seeing a human. Some tried to run to far-off galaxies. Some destroyed their own weapons in hope that humans would spare them. But the humans said nothing. No messages. No broadcasts. No negotiations. Only the silent flag, the blue planet, the white clouds, left behind after every battle. And behind that flag, the silent promise. If you bring chaos, we will bring the end. In every corner of the galaxy, one truth grew stronger every day. The age of endless war was ending. Not with peace talks, not with treaties, but with the silent, unstoppable force of the forgotten race from the small blue planet. Earth and the galaxy would never be the same again. For months, the galaxy stayed silent. Planets that once fought proudly now hid in fear. Mighty fleets stayed close to home. Armies locked their doors and waited. But even in hiding, one question haunted every leader. What made humans so deadly? It wasn't their ships. It wasn't their weapons. It wasn't even their numbers. The truth was stranger than anyone could imagine. And it started to leak out, little by little. On a broken station floating above Vesker 3, a message was found. It was hidden deep inside a destroyed human drop pod. The message wasn't a threat. It wasn't a demand. It was a story. A simple story about Earth's past. It told of human wars. Wars that burned whole continents. Wars fought with swords, guns, fire, and blood. Wars that lasted not for days, but for centuries. But even when Earth was shattered, even when oceans boiled and skies turned black, humans did not stop. They fought, and fought, and fought, until the only thing stronger than pain was their will. The galaxy had misunderstood. They thought humans were strong because of new weapons. But no. Humans were strong because they had been broken before. And they had survived it. In a secret meeting room on the planet Zerath, Alien leaders gathered. The Supreme Chancellor of the Brillax stood up and spoke, his voice shaking. We thought they were new to war, simple creatures with old ships. He pointed to the broken human drop pod sitting in the center of the room. But they are older than us in one way. They have mastered suffering. The room went cold. The aliens realized the terrible truth. Their armies fought for land. Their soldiers fought for power. But humans fought for something much deeper, something no bomb could destroy. Survival. At any cost. And that was a weapon no one in the galaxy could match. On Earth, in the deep underground halls of the Human Defense Command, General Marcus Kane stood before his officers. They watched the reports from across the stars. Planets surrendering without a fight. Whole fleets retreating into the dark. Should we push forward? One young officer asked. General Kane shook his head. We don't need to, he said calmly. They will destroy themselves out of fear. He walked up to a giant map of the galaxy. Red lights blinked where old enemies once ruled. Now most of those lights had gone dark. They called us weak, Kane said, his voice low. They laughed at our ships. They mocked our history. He smiled, but there was no joy in it. Now they see the truth. Humanity doesn't win by being stronger. We win by refusing to fall. And deep inside the stars, the humans prepared for the final move. Not a war. Not an invasion. But something worse. Something the galaxy would never forget. On the empty battlefields of Dranix IV, a small alien child wandered among the ruins. He found an old human helmet, cracked, scorched by battle. Inside, someone had carved a simple phrase. Pain is temporary. Survival is forever. The child didn't know what it meant. But soon the entire galaxy would understand. The real weapon of humanity was not fire or steel or ships. It was the human spirit. And nothing could destroy it. The galaxy waited. Planets that once screamed with war now sat silent, holding their breath. Every soldier, every leader, every citizen wondered the same thing. When would the humans strike again? But days passed. Then weeks. And nothing happened. No fleets appeared. No armies landed. No more flags were left behind. It confused everyone. The alien leaders met in secret again. They are planning something bigger, said the Brillax warlord, fear in his eyes. They want to erase us completely, whispered the Zern ambassador. Panic grew once more. Some planets burned their own weapon factories, hoping humans would forgive them. Others sent ships full of gifts and messages of peace into deep space. But no reply came. The humans stayed silent, watching, waiting. And the galaxy started to destroy itself. On a lonely moon called Sarna II, the first full surrender had happened. The government sent out a signal to Earth. We give up. We will never raise weapons again. Please, leave us in peace. The humans responded. But not with soldiers. Not with bombs. Instead, a single small ship landed. 2 humans stepped out, unarmed, calm. They didn't threaten. They didn't punish. They simply spoke. We did not come to conquer, said one human in a voice like steel. We came to teach. The aliens listened, terrified. What lesson? They asked. The human smiled sadly. The lesson we learned the hard way, he said. That war brings nothing. Only pain. Only death. He looked across the broken cities. You started this war believing you were powerful, he said. You believed fear made you rulers. He pointed at the ruins around them. But fear only leads to ashes. The alien leaders fell to their knees. They expected death. But the humans only turned and walked back to their ship, leaving behind a single small gift. A book. A human history book filled with stories of Earth's wars, tragedies, and survival. And on the first page, a handwritten note, learn from us, or become like us. Across the stars, the same scene repeated. World after world surrendered. Not because they were beaten in battle, but because they finally understood. The humans were not trying to destroy them. The humans were warning them. Warning them of what happens when war becomes endless. Warning them of what happens when pride blinds mercy. Warning them of what humanity had already lived through and barely survived. Years later, the galaxy was different. Borders shrank. Armies shrank. Wars became rare. Because the memory of the humans remained strong. Whenever a new leader thought of raising an army, they remembered the silent battlefields, the missing cities, the flags waving in the dust. And they remembered the final lesson. Humanity had not destroyed them. Humanity had shown them the mirror. A mirror where they saw their own future if they didn't change. And in that mirror, they had seen the end. Back on Earth, General Marcus Kane stood alone in a quiet garden. He watched the stars above, hands behind his back. One young officer came to him. "Sir, the galaxy is peaceful. They fear us." General Kane smiled softly. "Not fear," he said. "Respect." The officer frowned. "But we didn't conquer them." Kane turned, his eyes calm and deep. "No," he said. "Because true power isn't in conquering others." He looked up again toward the endless night sky. "True power," he whispered, "is surviving yourself." And under the silent stars, Earth rested at last, not as rulers, not as conquerors, but as a living memory, a silent warning, and a hope that maybe, just maybe, the galaxy had learned.